Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to OTRAMM's Tuesday Cruiser Chat. Same as always, no real plan for today. Hey T25, not much. Just let me know what you guys want to talk about today. I didn't plan anything. I've actually been playing hooky, homesick from the shop with an ear infection for the last 2 days. So yeah, luckily I can hear now, so I can speak properly, and we can do live chat tonight. So yeah, just let me know what you guys want to talk about, and we can chat about it. I'm trying to think if anything cool has been going on at the shop. Haven't had many cool things going on lately. Still working on the bumper build. Started on a Dakota Digital dash in a 40. That's about all that's interesting that's going on. Booked my flights for FabTech in Atlanta so I can go down and see all the new cool fabrication equipment and welders and everything that's coming out. So I'll be down in Atlanta in like 3 weeks. Looking forward to that. It should be a really awesome show. One of these days I'll get out to SEMA in Vegas, but so far I haven't made that, so we'll make do with FabTech in Atlanta. Greetings to Ohio. Bunch of people tuning in so far today. Usually it's like 15 minutes before anybody gets here. And Alex, I know you commented with a question after last week's, but I can't remember what it was. And I'm afraid if I flip open too many windows to try to go back and figure out what it was, I'm going to mess up the chat. Oh, yes, the Ox Tank for the 200 series. I actually just looked at the calendar, and I think it's not this coming week, but it's the 22nd that I start on that. So should be doing a video for that soon. Yeah, hopefully it'll go smoothly and the video will come out well. Let's see. I'm not sure who's down near Charlotte, North Carolina. I think Canucks Cruisers is down that way, but I don't know if he's still building trucks. Watching his Facebook and Instagram, it looks like he's out west fighting fires. So I'm not sure, other than him, I don't know who's down that way. And on the replacement, I'm not doing the big replacement like full tank. It's the I'm going brain dead. I'm just doing the auxiliary tank, and I think it's the smaller of the auxiliary tanks. And nope, I have never ever seen a Toyota Stout in person, so have not done windshields for them. Yeah, I know there's a bunch of cruiser guys down in North Carolina. The old North State chapter would probably be your best bet for finding somebody. But I don't know the shops down that way. The only other one I know down that way is Troll Hole, and he's probably at least several hours the other way from you, or for you from me. Yeah, I was thinking about Johnny. I don't know how much repair work he does. but he would know. He's been building some really cool stuff on Instagram lately. Trying to think of anybody else I know down that way. I cannot do a pre-purchase inspection on a Prado. We never got them here. So the closest we get to a Prado is like the Forerunner equivalent. So not quite the same thing. Yeah, so somebody commented a couple of weeks about doing a pre-purchase inspection on a turbo diesel 80 series, and we never got those there. Everybody else in the world got way cooler cruisers than we did. Leveling the stance on a lifted 80 or okay, never mind, it's coming in. Rear is an inch and a half higher than the front. Easy, put more weight in the back. Yeah, without looking at the 80, I am not up on my spring rate numbers enough to be able to tell you what you would need to level it out. I'm guessing that you're running heavier weight springs in the rear than the front, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it's hard to say. My brother just put J springs on his 80 and was complaining that it was an inch and a half higher in the front. Which I mean, the easiest way to level it would to be, put spacers in the back. Rear's engine or spacers in the front, but that's really not your best solution. Your best solution would be to match the springs to get the height the same. Both ends heavy. Yeah, I would guess that you're just not heavy enough for heavies. But it's hard to say without actually seeing the truck and seeing how it's set up. And as far as can a PZ diesel pass emissions in the US, I have no idea. We never got them here, like as a real import. So I would doubt it, but I have no idea. And the emissions, it changes state to state. Anyway, so what might work in one state may not work in another. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend J's for something you would daily drive because of the driveline angles. And I tried to talk my brother out of doing it, but he did it anyway. Yeah, I have not tried doing. I've not tried using the 100 series springs in an 80. I run stock front 80 series springs on the rear of my buggy, but that doesn't really help you. But yeah, I would look at the different spring heights of the OME springs, the spring heights and the spring weights, because I'm wondering if you don't have like the heavy heavies. Uh, ARB, I think it's arbusa.com. You can go through and like it'll be, I forget what they call it. It's like select my catalog or something, but they've got a whole spec sheet on their website where you can pick 80 series. Um, you can pick an 80 series and it'll put the spring pairs uh, together. That's what we usually do when we order springs, is we go through that way. Hmm. Yeah, so I would think drawers and a swing out would be heavy enough to level the front to a trail gear bumper and no winch. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. Are you sure the rear springs are seated properly? Like that the tail of the spring is seated all the way into the notch and not sitting up on top? Because I that could possibly make you too tall in the rear, but having it be off on both sides evenly, I would doubt it. And it's been a while since I looked at them, but I want to say there were two different rates of heavies for the rear. Like it was, heavy for this much weight and then heavy for this much additional weight all the time. So I'd maybe see which heavies you got. Because if you have the ultra heavy heavies, you just may have more spring than you need. Yeah, with about 7,000 miles, you'd think they'd be settled in. And at 7,000 miles, I can't imagine that they haven't seated themselves if they weren't seated from the get go. Hmm. I just looked them up, and the the 2863s are the lighter of the two heavies. So yeah, I'm not sure. And for Victor's BJ60, do you know a good source for transfer case seals and gasket kits? We use Cruiser Brothers. So cruiserbrothers.com. Georg and Ward are awesome to deal with and have awesome kits. Cruiser Outfitters is also super awesome for transfer case, transmission, and all those kind of rebuild kits. So yeah, you can't go wrong with either one. And hi, Igor, and thanks for subscribing. And thanks for the thanks on the 80 series videos. Yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We're getting so close to hitting the 1,000 subscriber mark. We might actually hit 900 today. But at 1,000 subscribers, YouTube actually starts treating this as a real channel. So it opens up some extra perks. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you want to support the channel beyond subscribing, we've got a Patreon site to help support, the new video gear, the editing software, and just the time it takes to make the videos that I could be spending actually working on trucks and making money. But I enjoy making the videos, so we're going to keep making them. And I put the links for the Cruiser Brothers and Cruiser Outfitters websites there in the chat thingy. And thanks for the thanks. I don't know how you pronounce that one. Celis23. Some of the YouTube channel or the YouTube names that come through are really creative. And some of them, it's like, you can tell it's like an inside joke to somebody's life, but you have no idea what it means. We've got one that's like hallucinogenic capybara. And I thought, or no, it's hallucinogenic porcupine. And I thought that was like the greatest screen name ever. Oh, you guys stink. Let's go outside. Come on, go outside. Go outside. Sorry, had to go let the dogs out. Apparently, one of them rolled in something in the backyard, and they smell terrible. Nope, no, you're staying outside. Yeah, I had to change all of my screen names everywhere when I switched to being OTRAMM from all the old personal, like YouTube and Twitter and all those. It took forever. Yeah, it's not a bad screen name. I just didn't know what it meant, or how to pronounce it. Hopefully you guys can't hear the dog scratching and whining at the back door wanting to come back in. I don't know of anybody doing LS swap kits for the 100 series. I would assume if anybody was doing them, Slee would be doing them. But I haven't seen anything. I know a bunch of people are starting to do swap kits for that new Cummins 2.8 diesel. But I haven't seen an LS kit for the 100 series. It seems like a shame to pull the 4.7 out. That's such a good motor, and it runs forever. If you need more power, just put a supercharger and headers on it. Yep, we're in Virginia, right about an hour southwest of DC. I'm gonna have to look up that Marks kit to put a LS in the 100 series. God, that seems like so much work. Nope, completely opposite side of the country, or continent rather. DC is not in the U.S. How many hours of labor do we typically do on a header install on a 100 series? We generally bill 13 hours. I know, like some of the labor guides show it as being lower, but those have got to be for brand new trucks that have never been run, because at least in Virginia, the nuts and studs are just seized on, and it takes forever to get the stock manifolds off. Luckily we've got a pretty good process worked out between penetrating oil, inductive heating, and some turbo swirl sockets to remove the nuts. But it can still take forever, and you end up bruised and cut up when you're done. I had a guy, one of our customers, he was like, he got a quote from Toyota for like 9.5 hours to do them. And I was, I told him, I was like, okay, go to Toyota and have them do them. And he was like, you won't price match them? And it's like, no, I know how much pain and suffering is involved in doing headers on a 100 series. So yeah, we do 13 hours. Occasionally you can get it done quicker. Most of the time you're right around there with fighting everything. I'm not sure about the headers having more longevity. I've probably done 5 or 6 sets of the headers, but I think the oldest set I've done was about 5 years ago, but that guy moved away, so I don't have an update from him. I haven't had a set of Thorley headers fail. I've heard mentions of it happening, on the internet, but I haven't actually seen it in any of them that we've installed. But the majority of the ones we've done have only been on there 2 or 3 years. So, compared to the, I guess, 10 to 15 years or longer, that the factory manifolds have been on the 100 series now, it's hard to say. They seem to be beefier, the headers, but it's hard to say how well they'll hold up comparatively. Is there any ill effect from running with a cracked manifold for a year or so? It depends on how badly it's cracked. If you just get a little bit of tick, tick, tick when you warm up and it goes away, probably not so much. Running with a cracked manifold that's like really cracked, you're not going to get fuel control properly. You're going to have an air leak that's going to affect your oxygen sensor readings. So it's going to be, it's hard to say. It depends on how badly it's cracked. If it's cracked bad enough that it's like loud, then there's a really good chance that you're not running in proper fuel control. So you could be getting bad gas mileage from it. It can be affecting other things. And yo to you too, Dave. Any good tricks for getting exhaust studs out of the head or out of the manifold? I guess either way, the easiest way that we do them is we weld a nut onto the broken bit. We weld a nut onto the broken bit and use that to turn the broken stud out, after lubing it a lot with Freol. Usually the heat from welding helps unseize everything and they come out. Sometimes you end up welding a couple of nuts on. Hopefully you end up welding, or usually you end up welding a couple of nuts on, because you'll weld one on, it'll break, and you keep doing it until the stud comes out. I would not do an EGR cat pair delete. And you can't delete the oxygen sensors. You have to have the oxygen sensors to tell the engine how much fuel to run. And there's no reason to delete the cats. They're helping the environment and your grandchildren breathe. And you can run into pinging issues with deleting the cat or deleting the EGR. You can get engine knock at highway speeds because you don't get the inert gas cooling effect from the exhaust gases to cool the combustion temps down. So I would not delete all of that. The pair you could probably get away with. I'm guessing you're talking like a 93, 94 1FZ. So, if you delete the pair, you can move the oxygen sensors up to the manifolds and use the same holes. But you can't delete oxygen sensors, and I would leave the rest of it as Toyota left it. I have no experience with the Rocky Road sliders. I haven't seen them. I saw somebody posted them on Instagram today, or maybe Facebook. I was homesick today, so I spent a lot of time on social media, but I haven't ever seen them in person. And yes to John, I have done ox tanks on an 80. I've done, I guess, 2 of the factory, like the JDM ox tanks. And I've done, I think, 2 now of the long-range automotive ones that Cruiser Brothers is bringing in. I prefer the install of the long-range automotive. It just seems easier to get everything, and everything's new. and it's a lot less finicky of an install. Because you're not dealing with, old stuff that was taken off in a junkyard. And yeah, I wasn't sure if it was Rocky Road that I had seen complaints about, but that may be the one. I think it was one of the local guys. Well, he used to be local. He's in Chicago now. Got them for his Tacoma, and they didn't fit. I think those were Rocky Roads, but I would hate to say they're Rocky Roads and then they weren't. Yeah. Yeah, 94, you've got to have the O2 well, I mean, all of them that are fuel injection, you've got to have the O2 sensors. I know people take the pair off. We don't do it at the shop just because it's federal emissions tampering. If I get caught as a professional shop pulling emissions equipment off, but I have seen the pair deleted without ill effect. The rest of it, leave it as is. You're not going to get any extra power from deleting it. The extra power gains from deleting emission stuff was from back in the 70s and 80s when it was all horribly designed. And maybe that's where I saw them, was on Facebook Marketplace. And yes, the arms going to the frame do look really small. Yeah, I would go for the white knuckle or the metal tech, or the sleaze, or I'm not sure if Trail Tailor's probably got something, and I think Bump It makes them too. I have no idea. I've actually never been to White Knuckle's website. We just see them from time to time as, trucks come in with them installed. Now that it's getting dark, my light was really bright. There is absolutely no chance that I will be retailing that rear bumper. We're not set up for production fabrication. I'll one-off stuff like that every now and then, but like doing that bumper has put me so far behind on other work that needs to come through the shop. It's insane. I ended up actually marking all the stainless exhaust kits on our website as back ordered, just because we're so far behind with daily work that I don't have time right now to build exhaust kits if somebody were to order one. We could always, one-off bumpers in the future, but it gets really expensive to one-off stuff, as opposed to, getting stuff that's like semi-mass produced, at like Slee or Trail Tailor or Bump It, or any of those guys. They're set up with a, laser, water jet cutter, whatever, and a real production press brake. So they can actually, make them with some kind of speed. This thing's taking me so long to build from scratch. It's a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying the way it's coming out. But there's no way I could match the speed or the price of the guys that build them day in and day out. You shouldn't need your toe in adjusted at all. You didn't do anything that would change it. The only thing that you would need to change is your drag length if your steering wheel's off center. But the lift kit won't adjust the toe at all on an 80 series. Yeah, if it makes you feel any better, I was supposed to have built this rear bumper back in like April. And I've just been so far behind, we didn't get started on it until a couple of weeks ago. And today, if your steering wheel looks pretty straight, then you're good to go. Because there's not really anything you can adjust other than toe on an 80. There's no camber, caster you did with the plates. So yeah, and toe isn't affected. So as long as the steering wheel's straight, you should be good. Yeah, I have hopes and dreams of someday being able to produce bumpers and stuff like that, but I doubt that will be anytime soon. And it's awesome. Yeah, if you get a chance, swing by the shop. I'd love to see the Tough Dog suspension for the 80 series. We did one for a 200 series a couple of weeks ago. And I'd love to see the parts on an 80 series. So when you're bored, come out and show it off. It depends on how much lift you're going with. If you're just going to like the 2.5 inch lift, we generally just use the bushings. Because the bushings are reversible, and they're not terrible to install. For over a 2.5 inch lift where you need more caster correction, then yeah, the plates are the easier way to do it. And I think it's the Metal Tech and Trail Tailor styled plates, the ones that are pre-drilled, and you cut the lower tab off of the front axle when you weld them on. They seem a lot easier to do than the older style ones where you've got to drill all the holes, and you need a right angle drill and a big bit, and it takes forever to drill all the holes. So I prefer the weld-on style for like the 4-inch-ish lift setups. But for the 2.5s, we usually use the caster bushings. Seems like we haven't done caster bushings in a while because everything that's come through lately has been to get the slinky set up, and the slinky setup uses the caster plates. Or at least that's what everybody's brought to me with their slinky setup. Did you not see the part of my video where I almost blew the press apart because I was lazy with putting the caster plate or the caster bushings on the press? Yeah, the Slinky Icon kit is awesome. I want an 80 just to put a Slinky Icon kit on and drive around. See, my old Harbor Freight 20-ton would not do caster bushings. It refused. Actually, maybe my old Harbor Freight was a 12-ton. I have not ridden in an 80 with King shocks. I know Richie from Boston, also known as Jailbreak Overlander. I know he's running Kings now, but I haven't ridden in his truck since he switched to Kings. And I think he's actually on the road on the way to the shop, so he's probably not tuned in here. So maybe I'll get to ride around in it tomorrow. Yeah, it seems like you did it just almost as sketchy as the way I did it. Washer mod. I don't know the washer mod. Um, oh, are you talking about where you egg the holes of the frame out and weld a washer further forwards? Because I think that's just for tire clearance to the back of the fender well. I really like the feel of the icons on an 80. But yeah, it'll be interesting to ride in Richie's with the Kings. Nobody out here has sprung the money for them yet, so I just live vicariously through other people's cruiser builds. So yeah, I don't get to play with things on my own. Ooh, and I think we've got a air to water intercooler setup coming in to put on a supercharged 80 series. So that'll be fun. I'll try to do a video of that as well. Unless you're running like off-road racing, I can't see needing a bump stop drop with 2 inches of lift. You just, you need to watch what you're slamming things into. If you start having contact issues, then you'll want to look at doing bump stop extensions. There are no bump stops on my 4Runner buggy, and it is terrible when you get into whoops, because it'll bottom out. Yeah, I don't know that I would trust a washer re-welded to hold my front axle together. I much prefer the idea of plates, where you're adding the extra beef and rigidity, because like the plates attach to the original bolt holes too, and give you, like a gusset effect where you're moving it, where the washers, you're relying solely on the weld and a thin washer to hold everything together. And I probably wouldn't go that route. I've seen people do it on the frame end too. And I'm not a fan of that. I would just get the actual made frame plates. They're going to be easier to get the angles right, and it's something is going to work. I have done the land tank frame plates. Those are the ones you've got to drill the holes through. I love land tank and Wits Ends parts. I hate installing those caster plates. And most of that's probably because I don't have a great right angle drill. If I had a better right angle drill, they may be better to install. I prefer the Metaltech style ones that bolt and weld on, and you just cut the bottom of the frame piece off, or axle bracket off. I have not driven a turbocharged 80. There used to be one here in Warrenton, but I don't know the guy. I would just hear him scream past me every now and then. I would assume it would be similar to a supercharged truck, which supercharged 80s are awesome to drive. But I don't have any direct experience driving a turboed 80. But coming from Joey, you know it's going to be an awesome kit. I've been following along as he's been putting the kit together, and he just today put out a bunch of pictures, or maybe it was yesterday, on Instagram of like the kits coming together for like the oil feed and the oil return, and it looks super nice. I'm really hoping somebody local wants that kit and wants me to install it so I can check it out and take it for a test drive. So there's the cost of the turbo kit and the cost of the drivetrain, but you're forgetting about the cost to put the drivetrain in the truck. Um, you know, you're probably easy 10 grand, 15 grand in labor to get an Isuzu NPR into the frame rails of an 80, hooked up, running, plumbed, if not more than that. We run into tons of exhaust leaks on an 80, and it depends on the generation. Where we see them most, the most common is just rotten exhaust pipes. But we see them at the gasket leaks as well. On a 96, most of what we see is rotted out mufflers, like on the top, and leaks between the two cats and at the manifold to downpipe connection. And my best advice is on the gaskets, only use Toyota gaskets. Everything else seems to fail. Yeah. I would check the. I don't know why they don't rot from the bottom, but yeah, they all seem to rot from the top and then blow open like a Jiffy Lube container or a Jiffy Lube popcorn thing. If you're getting a tick, tick, tick around the manifold area, I would check the manifold to downpipe connections. The actual gaskets between the manifolds and the head are embossed stainless steel. And I haven't seen one of those leak, except for when somebody'd been in there in the past and like broken a stud or left a stud loose. I haven't seen a properly installed manifold gasket leak. But we see the downpipe gaskets leak all the time. We also see them. There's like a frame bracket that's bolted to the bell housing, and then kind of has an exhaust clamp that clamps it around the rear downpipe leg. They'll rot out under that clamp where it bolts on, and it's really hard to see it up in there. And road grime gets sprayed up on it, so it's hard to see the staining from the leak. But I've seen them leak there a lot, and it's not easy to find. And the oxygen sensor flanges can rot enough to leak through them as well. But those are down low, so I don't think you'd mistake that for a manifold area leak. So my best guess would be the donuts at the bottom of the manifold, or where that clamp runs around the rear downpipe leg. Sometimes it can help finding it, like if you've got the engine running and you have somebody else like stuff a rag in the tailpipe to increase the exhaust back pressure, and it'll make the leaks louder and easier to find. Just be careful because it gets real hot real quick when you shove something in the exhaust, and it's real easy to burn your hand doing it. I think that's about it that I can think of for the hidden exhaust leaks. Everything else is usually pretty straightforward. And Dave, you definitely need a turbo kit. You should just call Joey right now and put that on order. And then let me drive it. Well, if you think of your questions after chat's over, you've got my email. Just email me. I don't know how good I'm going to be at convincing anybody's wife that they need a turbo kit. I can't even convince my wife that I need a turbo kit. For some reason, she just doesn't agree that I need an STI swap for my Subaru Forester. Oh yeah, it'll totally increase your highway safety. Merging safety alone, it'd be so much better. And yeah, I'm not sure I can sell the gas mileage. You're gonna like hearing the turbo whistle, and that's gonna kill your gas mileage. And as much as you can say you're gonna drive it for mileage, you won't. 80s run until they're warmed up. They're in open loop, so it's just running off basically like a pre-programmed table in the computer that takes account like RPM, throttle position, maybe mass airflow. I don't even know if mass airflow is included in that, but they don't switch over to running off the oxygen sensors until the oxygen sensors fully warm up. So you're running off a pre-programmed table. When they're cold, they're not actually under computer fuel control until they warm up and the oxygen sensors come online. And they also run richer until they're warmed up. The coolant temp sensor on cold temps richens everything up to make them easier to start. But it also makes them run slower, it seems like. That's not hateful. I've got one customer, I don't know if he's still getting it, but he was reporting like 18 miles per gallon in a loaded 80 series. But that was a couple years ago. 13 doesn't sound hateful. I still can't hear you coming. When are you coming down, Richie? Because I've been telling everybody higher up in the chat that you're coming, and I'm going to drive around on your truck with King Shock, so I know how they feel. And no other David, the guy that's getting 18 miles per gallon, is also David. No, I've seen his scan gauge average. He's legitimately getting it. Ah, sweet. So you're not coming down till Monday. That is good because I have been playing hooky from the shop all week with an ear infection, and I'm hopefully going back to work tomorrow. But I'm really far behind from not being there for 2 days. Yeah, what you can't see because of the camera angle is I'm also in my pajamas. Um, I went in for like 3 hours this morning to machine an alternator bracket so that Crash could put a truck back together. And yeah, after they watched me loopily machine brackets, they sent me home. They said I should not be at work today. So I came home and played around on the YouTubes all day. Oh, and I don't know which one of my dogs really stinks, but one of them smells terrible. Cool. Well, thanks for tuning in, Dave. Yeah, just let me know whenever you want to drive out. I'd love to see the Tough Dog setup. And yes, Richie, good idea. Everybody should thumbs up my channel and subscribe. And go check out my Patreon link. It is not me. I got a shower right before this chat. It is definitely one of the dogs. See, Richie knows how this works with the thumbs up and subscribe. We only need like 100 more subscribers, and then we're like an actual real YouTube channel. So tell your friends, tell your moms. Everybody subscribe to OTRAMM. What do we think? What do I think about all-wheel drive to front wheel for a Highlander? I don't know. I really don't know very much about the Highlander drivetrains. And I should have a ball bearing that'll work for that. We've got a bunch of broken Burfields at the shop, and we can just steal one of the ball bearings out of there to use as the press. I saw that in the video. And John, so Richie has been trying to make me do walk around videos of trucks that come through the shop since I started since I started doing the YouTube videos, and I keep telling him that I don't want to do walk around videos. Although I may have to start, and I did get I did buy one of these crazy gimbal things so that we can actually start doing walk aroundy videos. I actually bought it to go film at the FabTech Atlanta show, but I just read when I signed up that you're not allowed to film there. So yes, I have been prepping to do walk around videos. I just haven't done any yet. No, it's not a DJI. It's a Zhiyun, Zhiyun. It just came last week, and my old phone was busted, so I didn't get to play with it. But my new phone came today too. So I'm all set to play with that. So yes, I should start doing walk around videos. My wife's trying to call me, and I don't know how to do messages on my new phone. We do get cool trucks coming through. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of cool stuff coming through lately. So I should start doing walk around videos. I just got to clear it with the customers. I did. I just texted her back that I was still live chatting. See, I was hoping she would get home from work early today and she could come be on live chat with me. I have not rebuilt a cruiser auto tranny. I rebuilt a 700 R4 like Chevy tranny like 15 years ago, and it was terrible, and I swore I would never rebuild an automatic transmission again. And so far I haven't. I do manual transmissions all the time, but I haven't done an auto since then. I talked to Bino about it probably like a year ago. I asked him if he could get me actual factory Toyota rebuild kits, and he said, yeah, the rebuild kits were out there, but nobody is really having success in building them in like a home shop environment. So I've never actually super duper looked into rebuilding them. I've got an auto tranny at the shop that's burned up that I've thought about rebuilding just to see what it takes. But that's like one of those super back burner jobs. Cruiser Brothers is bringing in the I can't think of the name. The Rodney from Australia. Wholesale Automatics. The guy that makes the hopped up cruiser transmissions. They're bringing those in now. So that's probably the route I would go if I were you. And yeah, I mean, the reason I'm starting to look at doing the the walk around videos is I've already filmed all the how-to videos for the stuff that comes through the shop all the time. So trying to find content to film is getting tricky. Yeah, Bino is awesome. He is totally not what you think he'd be in real life. But he's awesome. And I am not doing a video on rebuilding your supercharger in my parking lot. But that would be a cool video, so maybe. It depends on how much is going on Monday. Yeah, it's on the list to do the bleeding brakes on an 80 series video. We just haven't had one come through that needed the brakes bled. I have lots of tripods. Before starting a YouTube channel, I never would have imagined I would own as many tripods as I currently own. Also never thought I'd own this many cameras or microphones. Yeah, it's an addiction. Crash is wrong. And on that note, I'm going to sign off of here for the evening so I can go feed the dogs because they are intently pacing behind me. But yeah, Hope you guys enjoyed chat this evening. If you haven't already, go subscribe. If you really like the chats, check out our Patreon site. It's in the link down below. And I'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.